I stared at the faded photo on my nightstand, the one from our wedding day 10 years ago. Isaac Cooper, with his sharp jawline and that easy smile that once made my heart skip, stood beside me in his rented tux. I was slimmer then, my auburn hair cascading in waves, my green eyes bright with hope. Now, at 35, I barely recognized myself in the mirror, my once athletic frame buried under layers of unexplained weight gain. My cheeks puffed, my confidence eroded. Isaac had mentioned a special surprise for our anniversary earlier that day, but the house was eerily quiet, the air heavy with an unspoken tension that had been building for months. "Honey? Isaac, where are you?" I called out, my voice bouncing off the beige walls we'd painted together right after our wedding, back when everything felt full of promise. Those walls now seemed to close in on me, a reminder of how far we'd drifted. The company my dad had poured his life into, Harris Logistics, a reliable mid-sized shipping firm valued at around $5 million, was on shaky ground, and I'd put my faith in Isaac to steer it back to success. Just last week, in a moment of desperation, I'd given him the keys to Dad's old safe, containing his last trump card, a folder of exclusive client contracts and $500,000 in emergency reserves that could potentially save the business from collapse. As I reached for a glass of water, my phone buzzed loudly on the granite countertop. It was Isaac calling. But when I answered, there was no greeting. Instead, the line crackled with muffled voices, as if he'd accidentally pocket-dialed me while out somewhere. "Nora, listen. This is finally it. The absolute last of her dad's hidden assets." Isaac's voice came through, slightly distorted but unmistakably his, carrying that confident, almost arrogant tone he reserved for closing big deals. "With this cash and those contracts, peak shipping will be unstoppable. We can fold Harris Logistics right into it by the end of the week. No loose ends." My hand froze mid-reach, the glass slipping slightly in my grip. Nora, my supposed best friend from college, with her sleek black hair always perfectly styled, her sharp cheekbones and that enviable slim figure that made her look like she stepped out of a magazine, responded with a light, cruel laugh. "Oh, Isaac, you're absolutely brilliant. Once we get rid of that fat cow for good, we can stop pretending and actually enjoy our lives without her constant hovering. She's ballooned up so much now, fatter than a polar bear, all thanks to those hormones you sneaked into her food every day. She won't last much longer if we give her a little push, maybe stage an accident in one of those cold warehouse freezers at the company. Problem solved." A chill ran down my spine, colder than any winter wind, as my heart hammered in my chest. Over the past year, I'd gained weight uncontrollably, swelling from a fit 140 pounds to a disheartening 220, my once athletic body now buried under layers of exhaustion and puffiness. I'd blamed it on work stress, poor eating habits, even genetics. But this? They had deliberately drugged me, turning me into this version of myself while systematically dismantling everything I held dear. "Stella, that stupid, oblivious fatty," Isaac went on, his words slicing like knives. "Does she really think I married her out of love? It was always about getting my hands on the company. And her parents? Easy targets next. A planted scandal to ruin her dad's reputation, then push her mom into a breakdown. We'll walk away with everything, clean and rich." The phone tumbled from my trembling fingers, clattering loudly onto the linoleum floor that Dad had laid down himself years ago, during one of his proud DIY weekends. Hot tears blurred my vision as the pieces finally snapped into place. The suspicious vitamins Nora had pushed on me for better energy, the daily smoothies Isaac insisted on preparing with that overly sweet smile, the hushed conversations and sidelong glances whenever I entered a room. Dad's final words from his hospital bed replayed in my mind like a haunting echo, his voice weak from illness, his salt and pepper hair thinned, his eyes so much like mine, filled with quiet warning. "Stella, my girl, the company's all yours now. This envelope has the core assets inside. Don't use them lightly, only if things get dire. And that Isaac, he's been helpful, sure, but keep an eye on him. Ambition can twist people. Fate has a way of testing us. I'd brushed off those signs before, too blinded by what I thought was love, too trusting of the man who'd charmed his way into my heart with his tall frame and easy charisma. But now, staring at my phone where I'd instinctively hit record on the call, capturing every damning word, a fierce rage bubbled up, drowning out the despair. I couldn't confront them just yet. That would tip my hand too soon. No, first I'd rebuild myself, a doctor's visit to confirm the poisoning, a gym membership to shed the weight they'd forced on me, and a private investigator to uncover every shred of their scheme. This fatty, as they called me, was done being a victim. I was about to transform into their greatest regret, step by calculated step. At 5'6", I was struggling to button a pair of old jeans that once hung loosely on my hips, pinching the soft rolls around my waist with a mix of frustration and determination. The extra weight, 80 pounds gained in just a year, had turned my athletic build into something unfamiliar. My cheeks rounded, my movements sluggish. But last night's overheard conversation had ignited a fire in me. This wasn't just about looking better. The betrayal from Isaac and Nora fueled a deeper resolve. I'd lose the weight not to win them back or meet some superficial standard, but for myself, to reclaim my physical strength, my mental clarity, and the life they'd tried to steal from me one poisoned meal at a time. Without wasting a moment, I picked up my phone and scheduled an urgent blood test with my family doctor for that very afternoon. The clinic was quiet when I arrived, the sterile smell of antiseptic mixing with my nervous anticipation. After a quick draw and some waiting, the doctor, a kind older woman with wire-rimmed glasses, sat me down in her office. "Mrs. Cooper, the results are in and they show abnormally elevated hormone levels in your system," she explained gently, her voice steady as she reviewed the printout. "These aren't natural fluctuations. They're likely from external sources, like contaminated supplements or even something in your food. Hormones like these can trigger rapid, uncontrollable weight gain, chronic fatigue, and even put strain on your heart over time. You need to stop exposure immediately and start a detox regimen, plenty of water, clean eating, and we'll monitor with follow-ups." I nodded slowly, the confirmation hitting like a wave but not a surprise. "I've suspected something was off," I admitted, my voice firmer than I felt. "My husband makes my meals, and my friend pushes these vitamins. Could that be it?" She leaned forward sympathetically. "Absolutely possible. Avoid anything suspicious, and let's get you on a path to recovery. I'll prescribe some supportive meds to help flush this out." Back home, I didn't hesitate. I marched straight to the kitchen pantry and fridge, yanking open doors and drawers with purpose. Out went the protein powders Nora had gifted me for energy, the pre-made smoothie mixes Isaac swore by, even the herbal teas that always left me feeling groggy. Bottles clinked into the trash bin one by one, a satisfying purge that felt like shedding invisible chains. With that done, I sat at my computer and signed up online for a nearby gym membership. Nothing fancy, just a place with treadmills, weights, and classes, and booked an initial consultation with a certified nutritionist recommended on a local health forum. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Isaac sauntered through the front door, his tall 6-on frame filling the entryway, like he owned the place. His dark hair was tousled, as if from a long day at work, but I caught the faint whiff of Nora's jasmine perfume clinging to his shirt, sharp, invasive, a scent that now turned my stomach. "Hey, babe," he said casually, leaning in to plant a quick, obligatory kiss on my cheek, his touch cold and performative. His blue eyes flicked over me dismissively, lingering just a second too long on my figure. "You look exhausted. Rough day? Maybe you should lay off the snacks and get some rest. That surprise I mentioned is coming soon, and you'll want to be up for it." I forced a neutral smile, playing the oblivious wife to avoid raising suspicion. "Yeah, actually, I've been thinking about that. I'm starting a diet tomorrow, really committing this time. Inside, anger simmered like a pot about to boil over. But I kept my cool, watching him shrug and head to the living room without another word. Once he was asleep that night, snoring softly in our bed, I crept back to the kitchen table with my laptop. Under the dim overhead light, I dove into the company records I'd accessed remotely, passwords I'd foolishly shared with him long ago. Irregularities jumped out almost immediately. Small transfers here and there, totaling thousands, funneled quietly to peak shipping. The side venture Isaac had launched last year, using what I now realized was my family's money. Fake invoices, padded expenses, it was all there. A trail of digital breadcrumbs leading straight to his betrayal. My hands shook as I screenshot everything, then searched for a private investigator. I landed on Caleb Hayes, a grizzled 50-something with a no-nonsense profile on his website, boasting years of corporate fraud experience. I emailed him right then. Need discreet help uncovering embezzlement in my family business. Evidence attached. Can we meet tomorrow? His reply came within minutes. Absolutely, Ms. Harris. 10 a.m. at the coffee shop on Elm Street. Bring what you have. The first week of my new routine was pure hell, a grueling test of willpower that pushed me to my limits. Mornings started with bland kale salads and green teas instead of my usual comfort carbs, leaving me hungry and irritable. Afternoons meant forcing myself out for walks that gradually turned into slow jogs around the neighborhood park, my legs burning, sweat drenching my clothes as I gasped for air. Evenings brought aches from beginner weight sessions at the gym, where I fumbled with machines under the watchful eye of a trainer. But the small victories kept me going. A scale reading 5 pounds down by day 7, clothes fitting a tad looser, a surge of energy I hadn't felt in months. It was like building armor, piece by piece. Amid the grind, Mom called one afternoon while I was catching my breath after a run. "Stella, honey, you sound different today. Stronger, maybe? Everything okay at home?" Her voice was warm and steady as always, conjuring images of her silver-streaked hair tied back in a ponytail and her kind hazel eyes crinkling with concern. Dad jumped on the line, his salt-and-pepper beard probably scratching the phone as he leaned in. "Yeah, kiddo. Those company reports I glanced at look a bit off. Is Isaac handling things all right? Need me to step in?" I hesitated, not ready to spill everything yet, but assured them with newfound confidence. "I'll fix it. I promise. Just focusing on getting healthy right now. Diet, exercise, the works." Their encouragement lingered like a lifeline. This transformation went beyond the physical. It was reshaping my mind, turning the old passive Stella into someone unbreakable. As I slimmed down, my plan for revenge took clearer shape, brewing with every step forward. 2 months into my transformation, the changes were becoming impossible to ignore. I'd shed 30 pounds already, my natural curves starting to re-emerge beneath the fading layers of excess weight. It was a small victory, but it fueled my determination, reminding me that I was taking back control one day at a time. Around the same time, the report from my private investigator, Caleb Hayes, arrived via a secure email attachment, packed with damning details that made my stomach churn. We met the next day at a quiet coffee shop downtown to discuss it in person. He was a grizzled man in his 50s, with a weathered face etched from years of digging into people's secrets, dressed in a simple button-up shirt and jeans. "Stella, this is worse than we thought," Caleb said gravely, sliding a printed folder across the table as we sipped our black coffees. "I've got photos here of Isaac and Nora in some very compromising positions, hotel rooms, late-night dinners that look anything but professional. Bank statements show at least $200,000 siphoned from Harris Logistics into peak shipping over the last 6 months, disguised as consulting fees. And these emails," he tapped a highlighted page, "they're plotting to frame your dad for scandals, fake client complaints about mishandled shipments, rigged audits to suggest financial mismanagement. Their goal is clear: tank the company's reputation so they can swoop in and take it over fully. I've got timestamps, IP addresses. It's solid evidence for a lawyer. The revelations hit hard, but they sharpened my focus. Mom's birthday party was just around the corner, a casual backyard gathering at their cozy suburban split-level home, complete with string lights, grilled burgers, and a few close friends and company clients. In the past, I'd always let Isaac and Nora take center stage at these events, charming everyone while I faded into the background, self-conscious about my size. But not this time. I was done being sidelined. I arrived early that afternoon, helping Mom set up folding tables and arrange platters of appetizers, my new fitted sundress, a size smaller than before, hugging my slimmer frame and boosting my confidence. "Oh, Stella, you look absolutely amazing, honey," Mom said, pulling me into a tight hug, her silver-streaked hair tickling my cheek, and her kind hazel eyes sparkling with genuine pride. "You've lost weight, and you seem so vibrant. Is everything all right? You've been quieter lately." Before I could respond fully, Isaac and Nora made their fashionably late entrance, striding into the backyard like they owned the place. Nora, in a form-fitting red dress that accentuated her lithe 5'8" figure and toned legs, flashed a too-bright smile, while Isaac, in a crisp button-down shirt that hugged his broad shoulders, carried a generic bottle of wine as their gift. "Stella, wow, you've lost a bit of that extra padding," Nora said with feigned sweetness, her sharp features twisting into a condescending grin. "Still got some work to do, huh? Keep at it. You might almost look like your old self one day." The tension simmered as the party progressed. I watched them schmooze the company clients I'd strategically invited, longtime partners from Harris Logistics, laughing too loudly at jokes, dropping hints about exciting new ventures at Peak Shipping. Nora's eyes kept drifting to the simple gold bracelet on my wrist, a cherished heirloom from Dad worth about $2,000, passed down from my grandmother. "Oh, that bracelet is so quaint," she cooed, reaching out to touch it uninvited. Isaac mentioned he'd get me something similar, maybe even nicer. "You wouldn't mind if I borrowed it sometime, right?" I pulled my hand back sharply. "It's a family piece, Nora, not for borrowing or giving away." Isaac stepped in, his face flushing with irritation. "Come on, Stella. Don't spoil the mood on your mom's big day. Where's the real gift you were supposed to prepare? Something thoughtful, not just whatever this is." I handed Mom a personalized spa day voucher I'd arranged, complete with massages and facials at her favorite local spot, but the undercurrent of hostility was too strong to ignore. Once they were gone, slamming their car doors and peeling out of the driveway, I sat down with my parents in the quiet kitchen and laid out the evidence from Caleb's report, photos, statements, the whole ugly truth. Mom gasped, hand over her mouth, while Dad's face hardened with resolve. "We'll fight this together, kiddo. Call a lawyer first thing tomorrow." Divorce papers were filed by the end of the week, a clean break from the toxicity. The revenge plot was thickening, layer by layer, just like the muscle I was building. I wasn't just losing weight, I was gaining power, and they had no idea what was coming next. 4 months into my weight loss journey, the results were undeniable. I'd shed 50 pounds, bringing me down to 170, and I felt stronger than ever, both physically and mentally. My body, once weighed down by fatigue and self-doubt, now powered through 5K runs in the crisp Denver mornings, my legs pumping rhythmically along park trails as the sun rose. The gym sessions had evolved from basic cardio to more challenging routines, leaving me sore but empowered, with visible muscle tone emerging in my arms and legs. Beyond the physical changes, therapy had become a crucial lifeline. I met weekly with a counselor who helped me unpack the years of gaslighting from Isaac, those subtle digs about my appearance, the way he'd twist my words to make me question my own reality. "You're not crazy, Stella," she'd say during our sessions, her calm voice a steady anchor. This was manipulation, and recognizing it is the first step to healing. To build on that, I joined a local support group for betrayed spouses, a small circle of women and men who gathered in a community center twice a month. Sharing stories in that safe space brought solidarity. Hearing others describe similar heartbreaks made me feel less alone, and their encouragement, "You've got this, keep fighting," motivated me to push forward. One evening, at a networking event for local businesses held in a downtown conference hall, I literally bumped into an unexpected face from my past, Riley Thompson, my old college flame. Standing at 6'2" with warm brown eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled and tousled brown hair that gave him an approachable, rugged look, he hadn't changed much since our brief dating days before Isaac came into the picture. Back then, Riley had moved away for a job opportunity in logistics consulting, and we'd lost touch. "Stella, is that really you?" he exclaimed, steadying me with a gentle hand on my arm after our collision near the refreshment table. "You look incredible, strong, confident. What have you been up to? It's been what, 10 years? We chatted briefly amid the buzz of the crowd, and he offered his card. As a logistics consultant, I've helped turn around a few struggling firms. If you ever need advice on Harris Logistics, give me a call. No strings attached. Intrigued and sensing an ally, I suggested lunch the next day at a quiet cafe nearby. Over sandwiches and iced teas the following afternoon, I opened up about the betrayal, laying out the basics without diving too deep at first. Isaac's been stealing from the company, embezzling funds, siphoning them to his side business with Nora, I explained, my voice steady but laced with lingering hurt. They even drugged me with hormones to make me gain weight, to keep me distracted and weak. Riley's jaw clenched visibly, his warm eyes hardening with anger as he set down his fork. "That's despicable, Stella. No one deserves that. Let me help. I can audit the books for you, connect you with reliable lawyers who specialize in corporate fraud. We'll get the evidence airtight and freeze those assets before they do more damage." Mom and Dad rallied around me too, their support unwavering as I navigated the emotional fallout. During a cozy family dinner at their house one weekend, roast chicken and veggies I'd prepared with my new healthy recipes, Dad reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "We're so proud of you, kiddo," he said, his salt and pepper beard framing a warm smile, his eyes reflecting quiet strength. "You've been through hell, but look at you now, getting healthier, taking charge. Whatever you need, we're here." Mom nodded enthusiastically, her silver-streaked hair catching the light. "Absolutely, honey. This family's got your back." With Riley's expertise, we moved quickly. He reviewed the financials, spotting more discrepancies, and we filed motions to freeze the embezzled assets while building a lawsuit for fraud. My workouts intensified in tandem, adding yoga classes for better flexibility and balance, which helped center my mind, and boxing sessions where each punch landed with cathartic force, imagining Isaac's smug face on the bag. It was therapeutic, turning rage into resilience. Nora, ever the instigator, sent taunting texts in those weeks. "You'll always be the fat ex, Stella. No one will want you now." I read them once, felt the sting, then blocked her number for good, channeling that anger into extra reps at the gym or longer runs. Revenge, I realized, wasn't just about taking them down. It was about rising above, rebuilding a life where I thrived without their shadows. With each passing day, that vision felt closer, more real. 6 months into my dedicated weight loss journey, the transformation felt like a complete rebirth. I dropped 70 pounds, bringing me to a healthy 150, and I carried myself with a newfound confidence that radiated from within. My once familiar business suits now fit perfectly, accentuating my slimmer silhouette, while I styled my auburn hair in elegant waves and let my sharp green eyes convey the determination I'd built through countless gym sessions and disciplined meals. The annual Denver Chamber of Commerce Gala, held in a grand ballroom downtown with sparkling chandeliers, velvet drapes, and tables adorned with fresh flowers, became my perfect stage. Dressed in a sleek black evening gown that hugged my revitalized figure, I arrived early, ready not just to network, but to finally expose Isaac and Nora for the frauds they were. The event buzzed with local entrepreneurs, potential partners, and industry leaders, all mingling over champagne and hors d'oeuvres, unaware of the drama about to unfold. As I circulated the room, shaking hands and discussing logistics trends, I spotted Isaac and Nora entering arm in arm, their smug expressions like masks of false triumph. Isaac, in a tailored suit that emphasized his broad shoulders, scanned the crowd with that arrogant gaze, while Nora, her lithe 5'8" frame poured into a shimmering silver dress, clung to him possessively. They were riding high on peak shipping's so-called success, built entirely on stolen funds from my family's company. When our eyes met, Isaac sauntered over with Nora trailing behind, a mocking grin spreading across his face. "Well, look who's slimmed down a bit," he sneered, his voice dripping with condescension as he looked me up and down. "Trying to impress someone? Too late for that, Stella. You're still yesterday's news." I held my ground, smiling coolly without missing a beat. "Actually, Isaac, I'm here for business. Real business." I turned away to continue networking, chatting with a group of executives about supply chain innovations, but I could feel their stares burning into my back. Midway through the evening, during the open announcements segment where attendees could share updates, I stepped up to the podium, my heart steady despite the adrenaline. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began clearly, my voice projecting across the room, "as the owner of Harris Logistics, I'm here to announce that we are immediately severing all ties with Peak Shipping due to discovered fraud and embezzlement." Gasps rippled through the crowd, whispers erupting as heads turned toward Isaac and Nora, whose faces twisted in shock and fury. Isaac stormed forward, his composure cracking. "You can't do this, Stella. This is slander. You have no proof." The room fell silent, tension thick in the air. Seizing the moment, I proposed a neutral challenge to settle it publicly. "Fine. Let's prove it right here. How about a business simulation duel, a stock trading demo? We'll each start with a virtual $25,000 portfolio, and the one with the highest profits after 30 minutes wins. Loser pays up the real amount and admits defeat." Isaac, ever the overconfident one, laughed derisively. "A housewife like you, playing at stocks? You've got no skills, just kitchen duties. Fine, I'll crush you and prove you're delusional." The organizers quickly set up laptops on a side table, projecting the screens for all to see. He mocked me throughout, calling out, "Watch this, everyone. Stella's about to embarrass herself." But I'd spent my transformation months obsessively studying markets, reading books, practicing simulations late at night, turning my pain into expertise. I made calculated moves, buying low on undervalued tech stocks, selling high during a simulated surge, diversifying smartly. Isaac's aggressive trades backfired in the volatile demo market, while my strategy yielded steady gains. When the timer buzzed, the results flashed. My profits doubled his, a decisive win. "Pay up, Isaac," I said firmly, as the crowd murmured in approval. Seizing the momentum, I projected the evidence from Caleb's report, screenshots of embezzled transfers, photos of their affair, incriminating emails. "Affairs, theft, sabotage. You're bankrupt now, and the authorities will handle the rest." Riley, who'd been watching from the sidelines, stepped forward supportively, his warm brown eyes meeting mine. "Stella's not just winning here. She's my partner now, in business and in life," he announced, drawing applause. The room turned against them fully, whispers turning to outright condemnation. Isaac and Nora, faces flushed with humiliation, fled the gala in disgrace, pushing through the doors as security eyed them warily. It was a turning point, my revenge gaining traction, my strength on full display. In the weeks following the gala, the retaliation from Isaac and Nora came swiftly and viciously, escalating into a full-blown assault on Harris Logistics. It started with subtle cyber intrusions, suspicious login attempts on our company servers, followed by outright hacks that disrupted our email systems and tampered with financial records. Clients reported delayed shipments due to altered manifests, and our stock value dipped amid rumors of instability, clearly orchestrated to undermine us further. Riley and I pored over the logs in my home office late one night, the glow of computer screens illuminating his concerned face. "These traces lead back to Isaac's IP addresses," he said, pointing to the data. "But there's a third party involved. Looks like an expat consultant named Ethan Montgomery, based overseas with ties to shady international firms. He's promising them a revival plan, funneling resources to help them strike back harder." We decided to play along, pretending vulnerability to draw them out. I leaked internal memos through a controlled channel, making it seem like we were scrambling and exposed, while Riley's tech team fortified our defenses behind the scenes. "If we lure them into a bigger move, we can catch them red-handed," Riley explained over coffee the next morning, his warm brown eyes steady. "It's risky, but it'll give us undeniable evidence." The trap culminated at the National Business Summit in Washington, D.C., a high-profile event gathering industry leaders for panels and deals. Isaac and Nora, emboldened, attempted their boldest strike yet, deploying viruses to manipulate market data during a live trading session, aiming to crash values tied to our partners and frame us for the chaos. Alarms blared on our monitoring software as the attack unfolded. "They're in, trying to flood the system with fake trades," Riley's lead tech reported urgently over a secure call. "But we've isolated it. Countermeasures deploying now." With Riley's team reversing the hacks in real time, we gathered irrefutable proof, encrypted chats between Isaac, Nora, and Ethan discussing the plot, including promises of splitting the spoils once Harris collapsed. During my keynote speech on ethical business practices, I paused dramatically, projecting the evidence on the massive screen behind me. "Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just competition. It's treasonous collusion," I declared, my voice echoing through the auditorium. "Isaac Cooper and Nora Sullivan, aided by Ethan Montgomery, have attempted to sabotage not just my company, but the integrity of our entire sector through cyber manipulation and fraud." The room erupted in shock, murmurs turning to outrage as security personnel moved in. Isaac, caught off guard in the audience, stood and shouted, "This is a setup! Stella's lying to cover her own failures." Nora, pale and frantic beside him, added shrilly, "You have no proof. We're the victims here." But the authorities, tipped off by our preemptive report, swooped in swiftly, handcuffing them amid flashing cameras. Ethan, monitoring remotely, fled overseas, but international alerts were issued. It was a clean takedown, turning their desperation into their downfall and solidifying my path to full recovery. 8 months after that fateful overheard call, my weight loss journey had culminated in a triumphant milestone. I'd lost 80 pounds, returning to a vibrant 140, ready to tackle marathons and embrace life with unshakable strength. Inspired by my own path, I launched a personal blog titled Rising Strong, sharing honest stories of weight loss, betrayal recovery, and empowerment. Entries like, "From Poison to Powerful, My Story," resonated with readers, drawing comments of support. "Your journey gives me hope. Thank you for being so real." It wasn't just cathartic. It connected me with a community, turning my pain into a force for good. Riley had been my steadfast partner through it all, our bond deepening from professional allies to something profoundly personal. One crisp autumn afternoon, during a scenic hike along the Rocky Mountain trails we'd come to love, golden leaves crunching underfoot and fresh air filling our lungs, he dropped to one knee at a breathtaking overlook. "Stella, you've always been the strongest person I know," he said, his warm brown eyes locking onto mine with sincerity, a simple diamond ring glinting in his hand. "Through everything, you've risen above, and I want to build a future with you side by side. Will you marry me?" Overwhelmed with joy, I nodded through happy tears. "Yes, Riley. Absolutely yes." Mom and Dad hosted our intimate wedding in their backyard the following spring, string lights twinkling like stars as we exchanged vows before close family and friends. We're beyond proud, honey, Mom whispered during our hug, her silver-streaked hair framing tearful hazel eyes. Dad, beaming with his salt and pepper beard, added, "You've turned adversity into triumph, kiddo. This is just the beginning." Closure came in an unexpected form, a plea from Isaac during his pretrial detention. I visited the Stark prison meeting room, facing him across a plexiglass divider, his once confident demeanor shattered, dark circles under his eyes, broad shoulders slumped in an orange jumpsuit. "Stella, please," he begged, his voice cracking with desperation. "Forgive me. I never meant for it to go this far. Nora pushed me, but I know I messed up. Drop the charges. We can work something out." Nora, in a separate call I'd ignored, had sent similar messages through her lawyer, pleading, "We were friends once. Have mercy." But I stood firm, my voice calm and resolute. "You broke me, Isaac. Drugged me. Stole from my family. Tried to destroy everything. But I rebuilt myself stronger than before. No forgiveness here. You'll face the consequences." Walking out, a weight lifted from my shoulders. The chapter finally closed. Justice wasn't just served. It empowered me to move forward, unburdened. A full year after the dust had settled from the arrests and trials, Harris Logistics was not just surviving, but truly thriving under my leadership, a testament to the hard work and strategic partnerships I'd forged along the way. We'd merged operations with Riley's consulting firm, creating a powerhouse in the shipping and logistics sector that brought in steady revenue, enough to expand our fleet and hire a dedicated team of 20 new employees. Our mornings started early now, with invigorating jogs through the neighborhood park, the fresh Denver air filling my lungs as Riley and I ran side by side, our paces perfectly synced after months of shared routines. Evenings were sacred family time, cozy dinners around the kitchen table, where I'd prepare balanced meals like grilled salmon with fresh salads, drawing from the healthy habits that had become second nature. The arrival of our daughter, little Emma, 6 months ago, had brought a whole new layer of joy and purpose to our lives. With her tiny fingers wrapping around mine and her bright eyes, so much like Riley's warm brown ones, every day felt like a fresh start. "Look at her, Stella," Riley would say softly during bedtime, cradling Emma in his arms as we sat on the nursery rocking chair, the room softly lit by a nightlight. "She's got your strength already, those determined little kicks when she's excited. We're building something amazing here, aren't we?" I'd nod, leaning my head on his shoulder, replying with a content smile. "We really are. After everything we went through, this feels like the reward. A family, a business, a life we chose together." Revenge had provided the closure I needed, satisfying that burning need for justice against Isaac and Nora, who were now serving their sentences for fraud and embezzlement. But it was the weight loss that truly liberated me, freeing me from the physical and emotional chains they'd imposed. I was Stella Harris once more, healthy, empowered, and no longer defined by vengeance. Whole and unbreakable, I embraced each day with gratitude, knowing no hidden poisons or betrayals could ever hold me back again. My blog continued to grow, inspiring thousands with stories of resilience, and occasional speaking gigs at local events allowed me to share my journey, turning personal triumph into a beacon for others. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, balanced, fulfilling, and brighter than I ever imagined.